How were you able to get some of the biggest artists from other genres to collab with you? I'm looking at you got Whitney and Kanye, Mary J, Jill Scott, Lil Baby, Chance the Rapper, Mariah, JT, JB, Demi Lovato, Babyface, Stevie Wonder, Tamar Braxton, Boyz II Men, Salt. How?
I don't know.
So what's the call? Okay, like, man, I would like to have Beyonce, or I'd like to have this. So you just pick up the phone and like.
Some, and then some are relationships that others may have and say, hey, so-and-so wants you to jump on something. Or it may be a movie and the studio is like, hey, we want to put you together with so-and-so. So it's just been just a multiplicity of moments that have just kind of, just come from relationships. And then, there were also people like a Mary J. Blige or a Pharrell, and these are people that were raised in the church that knew the music that I was already doing because they were listening to it in their own private time.
Right.
So when it was time to do something, they were already acclimated, not necessarily to me, but through the music that I was doing and really loved it. And so, that kind of built some relationships. So it's been a myriad of ways, and I'm just very grateful.
Who was in the studio Kirk Franklin was in awe of?
Stevie Wonder. Because he's Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder allowed me to produce him too. Now, that's what gave me Bubble Guts. I got Bubble Guts because I was recommending some things for him to do vocally.
Right.
And it was like, and he was cool with it. I'm like, okay, I can't believe that he's trusting my compass in this song moment, and he did, and it was, and I was like, and I mean, just to have that for me was life changing because you talk about somebody who has just reached over generations and decades,
yes,
and and you talk about GOAT status, like he's alpaca status, you know what I mean? Alpaca,
right?
Yeah, so to be able to have that was just a very beautiful moment.
For Michael, Whitney.
I never worked with Michael.
You never worked with Michael. So what would have been like?
I've worked with some, but watch this though. John McClain, who's an incredible guy who oversees Michael Jackson's estate. John McClain got me my deal over at Interscope with Jimmy Iovine several years ago. And John McClain oversees the estate, and so they're always reimagining Michael's his catalog.
Right.
And so there have been some projects that I've redone that had Michael on it.
Right.
And so I'm in the studio listening to Michael's raw vocals. And just so it's been amazing.
So what's that like? Because we know, we grew up with Mike. I'm talking about in the Jackson 5, and then he went off the wall.
Big nose Michael, little nose Michael.
Afro, to the perm.
Baby hair Michael.
Yeah. We grew up with Mike. Mm-hmm. So what's it like to hear his voice unfiltered, uncut?
It makes you feel a level of unworthiness that you are experiencing royalty in the room. To be able to take all the tracks out and you can hear just Michael breathing and Michael singing and Michael doing pants. And I'm talking about, I've been blessed to work on quite a few projects for Jonathan. For John McClain, where I'm working on Michael's raw vocals. I'm working with Michael's stuff that he did with his brothers and stuff he did with himself and trying to reimagine it. And it is like royalty. And the fact that he was that cool, because back then wasn't no auto-tune. You know what I mean?
That's him.
That's him, bro. That's him stomping and breathing while he's singing. It's because everything right now, is don't nobody want to hate on the next generation, but everything is so produced. Everything is so filtered down.
Overproduced?
At times, but the challenge is what's overproduced now is what people's ears are accustomed to, and so people like it.
Right. So if you don't overproduce it, they're gonna think that person can't.
They don't like it anymore. It's because now music is not music anymore. Music now is a vibe.
Right.
It's a vibe. And if the music had that vibe, and sometimes the vibe is overproduced. Sometimes the vibe is slowed down, slow the voice down, filter the voice down.
Right.
So you're not going under like Michael, because Michael was just breathing, sweating, and you can hear the stank on the microphone, spitting on the microphone. And that was a great moment for me.
Prince, Michael, Whitney. If you had an opportunity to work with those, what do you think that would be like for you?
I've had a chance to work with Whitney.
How's Whitney's voice?
You know,
You hear, I mean, to hear it on on a record, to hear her when she's doing things, but to be there, it has to be different in studio than it is in an arena.
Yeah, you know, well, and then see, Whitney's not fair because Whitney was a church girl,
Right.
and she never turned that off. So it wasn't far removed from the worlds that we lived in. You know, her and Cece were cool.
Right.
She was cool with all these other people. So Whitney was just an extension of the world that I came from.
Okay.
Prince came. I was seated at an event, Shannon, and during a commercial break, Prince came down to me and kneeled before me, and he said, "Here's my number, and I want you to come to Minneapolis and jam with me." And you know why I didn't go? It was so early on in my career. Those voices from that church culture. Because, you know, Prince, you know, he'll do music in his drawers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I
You know,
remember that.
He'll come to the studio on a G string.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. The yellow, yeah. You remember the yellow with his butt out?
Cheeks out, his cheeks is out.
Chaps,
Yeah,
chaps
and I didn't, you know, and so, you know, so people seeing his cheeks out, I didn't want to be trying to argue, well, you know what, his cheeks is out, but he do good music. You know, so I didn't even return them. I didn't even.
That's friends.
I didn't even take him up on all. He said, I want you to come to Minneapolis and jam. And I didn't do it, man. I didn't do it. He called the crib.
You got to go just to see Paisley Park.
I know I want to. He called the crib. He called the crib, bro, and kissed my baby and said hey to Tammy before he left. And I let fear get in the way of me working with him.
What artist today would you like to do a collab with? That you haven't, if you haven't done one with them, who would you like to do a collab with?
You know, as I know that some of the church folk would probably give me again, man, but you know, I am a fan of the lyrical genius of Sean Carter.
Oh?
I am. I think lyrically, he's a juggernaut. The fact that he doesn't write what he says down and the intentionality of the conversations that he has, good and bad.
Right.
You know, I'm just I've always been, because, you know, we're in the same age demographic,
Right.
you know, so I've got to, you know, I've had a chance to live with his journey. It would be Sean Carter and Sting.
Wow.
Sting from the Police. Those would be my two dream. And if he was living, I would love to work with Andre Crouch. Andre Crouch was a great gospel.
Oh, yeah,
legend.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Winans, I think
All that. James Cleveland, all that.
My grandfather.
You're showing your age. Yeah, man.
But, so Prince was the one that you like, man, I mean, y'all might could have done a song together.
His cheeks was out. It was.
Ah, man, that got nothing to do with that. The man, like you said, he was a genius.
Oh.
You talk about right.
Oh. And, you know, like I don't even have that conversation with people. You know, when everybody bring up the Michael, the Prince, I don't even do that. But first of all, it's an insult to their greatness. But they were two different phenoms. But Prince musically, the fact, because, you know, Prince could play every instrument.
Yes.
And then he could go into the studio and engineer what he plays.
Right.
That's just a whole nother behemoth. That's yeah.
Who thinks of
you
Purple Rain?
You gonna walk around with your cheeks out if you can do all that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, his mind has to be.
Yeah.
Because you think about what Raspberry Beret and pink cashmere.
All of that.
The mind.
Genius.
It snows in April.
I
mean, Purple Rain.
It snows,
Under the Cherry Moon.
It snows in April. Just even that line.
Yeah.
And he was having that kind of line back in the 80s.
Yes. He was mute. He was way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Because the way he was thinking, I was like, who think that?
You remember Lady Cab Driver?
Yes.
Do you know that's him on drums?
Is it?
Listen to the boom, pack, boom, pack, boom, pack, boom, pack. Prince is playing drums.
Lady, cab driver, won't you take me? Yeah.
Yes. Genius.
I mean, so as far as songwriters, you might have to like Stevie, Prince,
Babyface.
Face.
Stevie, Prince, Babyface. And I'm going to tell you who I think, I'm going to tell you a name and you tell me what you think of this name. Let me tell you who I think should have been where like you remember when Diddy had domain over all what was happening musically?
Yes.
Let me tell you who I think, and Timberland. Like you remember how much domain Timberland had, just the real estate? Let me tell you a name. I'm gonna throw out a name to you. And I'm gonna tell you who I think that we slept on, that he should have been the name that really dominated the conversation of 90s black pop music. Devontae from Jodeci.
Yeah.
You remember the sound that Jodeci brought in?
Man.
Because they were church boys.
Yes.
They were church boys. But Devontae's...
They brought something else in, for babies. That's what they brought. That's what they brought in.
Brought in a lot of babies. Brought in a lot of babies. A lot of babies. Devontae's production. If you listen to those Jodeci records, his production, it was like, what? But then again, he come up under, that Virginia world, him, Pharrell, Timberland. But
Missy Elliott from...
He was working on Missy Elliott stuff. Devontae, I think, is a name that we miss and forget when it comes to popular black music.
Man, Plies want to do a collab.
He don't want to do nothing.
He don't want to do nothing?
Yeah, he don't want to do nothing. He don't want to do nothing. He be talking. He be running his mouth.
That's all he be talking?
He be just running his
Plies,
mouth.
you hear that? He said you be talking, you bumping.
Yeah. It's because we were supposed to be got together. We was going to do something in Florida and Miami. He don't want to do nothing. He don't want to do nothing. It's because I think he's really, really, really afraid that I could be his daddy.